A week ago, John Redwood was just a minister in John Major's cabinet. Today, he says he's going to be the next Prime Minister. But can he really persuade his colleagues to ditch Major and send him to Downing Street instead? To find out, join me with John Redwood and a studio audience of Tory activists this Sunday at 1:10.
You're watching LWT, a no-holds-barred look at the week through the eyes of Richard Littlejohn and guests. They're live and uncut tonight at 10:30. Now, news at 10.
From ITN, News at 10 with Trevor McDonald.
The Challenger braced for a fight to the finish. Crisis call for donors to replace infected blood. Life sentences for the random killers on the beach. And after the reunion, a new ordeal for Hugh Grant. Good evening. The contest for the Conservative Party leadership acquired a sharper edge today. The Redwood camp told MPs they should vote for him if they wanted to retain their seats. For his part, Mr. Major criticised what he called the snipers on his own backbenches and said he wouldn't tolerate such nonsense if and when he was re-elected. This weekend will be crucial, the time when undecided MPs return to their constituencies and make up their minds about how they'll vote. Here's our political correspondent, Hugh Pym.
It's been an extraordinary week in the political life of John Redwood, tonight back at home with his wife Gail, but it's just the beginning of the weekend which will seal the fate of his bid for the leadership. It was a day which saw the gloves coming off in the Redwood camp with a blunt message to Tory MPs. If you want to save your seats, you need a change of leader. And the only way to ensure that is a vote for John Redwood on Tuesday, even if it's a tactical vote to force a second ballot.
So the question this weekend is a simple one. Do we really believe we can win again if nothing changes?
But wouldn't John Major have gained support after his impressive showing in the Commons yesterday? That clearly got under Mr. Redwood's skin.
I think the issue is not so much 15 minutes of performance at the dispatch box, but 5 years' performance in government.
His allies have put out a leaflet, the language of which, save your seat and your country, vote Redwood, has angered some Tory backbenchers and made an easy target for Major supporters.
The trouble is, this sort of thing doesn't really help anyone. It's not going to convince a sophisticated electorate like Conservative members of Parliament.
And the Prime Minister himself, on a visit to Kent today, was in no mood to trade insults with John Redwood.
It's up to John if he wishes to challenge for the leadership of the Conservative Party. It's a perfectly honourable thing to wish to be leader of the Conservative Party and Prime Minister. I understand that as well as anyone. So I'm not going to comment adversely on John or his campaign. I'm going to get on with my campaign.
As to his own campaign, he seems confident the wind is blowing in his favour, though still no predictions of the margin of victory.
I think you're just going to have to wait till Tuesday. You're wasting questions asking me that. We'll wait and see. I think we're going to have a very handsome victory on Tuesday. You'll see it then.
But Lord Tebbit, who was at John Redwood's campaign launch on Monday as an observer, has come out clearly in favour of Mr. Redwood in an article for tomorrow's Sun newspaper. That might sway the views of some undecided MPs this weekend as they take soundings in their constituencies. Paul Marland, Conservative MP for West Gloucestershire, is inclined to back John Redwood, but has invited local party members to carry out their own vote tonight. It seems they won't need a lot of persuading.
We need a new face with the old Conservative policies and a much more Eurosceptical attitude in Europe.
I've got no mind at the moment. I do think it's time for a change, though. Who that is, we'll have to wait and see in the fullness of time who the other contenders are. I'm sure there'll be a second ballot.
I would like him to vote for John Redwood, but that's my view.
That view is not typical, according to John Major's advisers. They believe that most constituency parties will strongly back the Prime Minister, but they acknowledge that this weekend will be absolutely crucial, as a number of factors, including the verdict of the Sunday newspapers, influence those Conservative MPs who have still not yet decided who they want to see as leader of the Conservative Party. Hugh Pym, News at 10, Westminster.
The blood transfusion service wrote off 10,000 pints of blood today, nearly a sixth of the country's entire stock, for fear that it could be contaminated. The bags in which the blood was kept were found to be faulty and leaking, Some operations are being postponed and the call's gone out for more donors. Our health correspondent Anya Sitharam reports from Oxford.
Around the country today, emergency blood donor sessions to try and make up for the loss of a sixth of the nation's blood supplies. The National Blood Service says it needs 5,000 donors over the next 3 days. In Oxford, they were rising to the challenge, queuing to give blood. At the nearby transfusion centre, 2,500 pints of blood, which could be used in 1,000 hip operations, will have to be destroyed, all because of faulty blood bags. Last year, the National Blood Authority started to buy cheaper Australian imports. Some of them have leaking heat seals. Several hundred faulty packs like this have been found. Because the seal is broken, if you just press it, blood like this spurts out, allowing bacteria in.
We are, of course, extremely angry and very concerned that what appeared to be a good product has not been a good product. But we are pleased, in fact, that the quality procedures that we had in place were able to pick up what was a potentially lethal fault.
I have to apologise to those patients, and I hope there'll be as few as possible who will temporarily have their operations cancelled.
At the Oxford Radcliffe Hospital, 17 non-urgent operations have been postponed. Patients at other hospitals around the country face similar delays. Tonight, as the National Blood Authority appealed for more donors, Labour revealed a leaked document showing that the authority was aware that the bags might not meet standards. The authority has denied its decision to buy the Australian imports was a cost-cutting exercise that backfired. Anya Sitharam, News at 10, Oxford.
2 young men were jailed for life today for the random execution-style murder of the Hampshire accountant Grant Price. They kidnapped him when he was out with his son, took him to a remote beach, stabbed him in the neck and left him to die. The judge told Matthew Pearce and Darren Jones that the very thought of what they'd done horrified all decent people. Our South of England correspondent Robert Hall reports from Winchester Crown Court.
They had selected a victim at random, Matthew Pearce and Darren Jones blaming each other for his death. Isabel Price had relived her husband's horrific ordeal during the 2-week trial. Tonight, her ordeal is over.
The whole family doesn't actually believe what's happened even now, and that was one of the reasons why I went to the trial, was to try and, you know, make it a bit more real. And I still feel like that about it.
Darren Jones had met his co-accused when both were working as lifeguards. Jones, a habitual thief, Pearce in debt after a car accident. They targeted shoppers using 2 busy car parks. Student James Wink had gone to buy a ticket. Pearce and Jones demanded his car, and when he refused, they attacked him, Pearce stabbing him with a commando knife. Accountant Grant Price was their next target. In front of his 9-year-old son, he was bundled into his own Astra car and driven off. Over the next 6 hours, the pair used his cash card in machines all over southern Hampshire. Finally, Grant Price, his hands tied, was brought to this isolated beach and frog-marched to his own execution.
That has to go down as one of the worst crimes that we'll not just see in Hampshire but anywhere in the country. And the randomness of the taking of Mr. Price is really quite incredible.
Having dumped the stolen car close to Jones's Southsea flat, the killers were questioned after an alert detective matched Jones with this impression drawn from a witness's description. They were charged after the inquiry team bugged the flat and recorded them discussing their cover story. The judge, Mr. Justice Kennedy, said the crime had horrified decent people, adding to kidnap a man, to cart him round the country, then to face that long walk up the beach simply chills the blood.
I think it's appalling. I think it's terrible. I mean, I park in that car park every day. I bend over to put my jacket in every day, and, you know, it never leaves your mind at all that it could happen to you. It could have happened to me that day, you know, or anybody else.
Matthew Pearce's family said they shared a sense of loss.
We've all lost something. Mrs. Price, our family, Mrs. Jones.
Pearce and Jones had lied throughout. The full truth of what happened on that windswept beach may never be known. Robert Hall, News at 10, Winchester Crown Court.
The Attorney's Office in Los Angeles said tonight that Hugh Grant will have to take an HIV test if he's found guilty of the charge he faces, lewd conduct with a prostitute. He'd also have to undergo a program of AIDS education. The star spent today with Elizabeth Hurley, his partner of 9 years, at their country home near Bath. Any decisions they made about their future, they kept to themselves. ITN's Andrew Simmons reports.
It could have been the setting for a Hollywood movie. a tranquil English village. After scandal, an alleged encounter with a prostitute in Sunset Boulevard, the scene now a rambling country home near Bath, and a reconciliation perhaps between two famous people. But this was real-life trauma for Hugh Grant, movie star, and Elizabeth Hurley, the face of Estee Lauder. Neither would make any comment. For the assembled media outside, no real clues as to whether the reunion of Britain's most talked-about couple was make or break. Both took out salad meals for lunch al fresco. They didn't spend long in conversation. Earlier, delivery men brought a double bed to their rented home. The furniture company said it had been ordered by Miss Hurley for a spare bedroom in the house. And tonight, another development. In Los Angeles, the city attorney's office said if convicted, Grant will be forced to take an AIDS test as part of any sentence. For Miss Hurley today, one of probably many gestures of sympathy. A bouquet of flowers. The message, don't be sad, you'll never be alone. It was unsigned.
People are still being pulled out alive from the rubble of the collapsed department store in Seoul in South Korea. But the number of dead has now passed 100. About 250 are still missing. Ian Glover-James at ITN reports.
Almost 2 days after the Korean superstore disaster, heavy cranes clear the surface. But underground, incredible scenes of survivors still found alive. Rescue teams fight to clear a path for Hong Sung-tae, a 40-year-old language teacher trapped by his leg for 30 hours. So sure he would die, he'd pleaded with a Korean rescued near him to deliver his will to his wife and son at home. But 15 hours later, Hong, too, is dug out alive. Exhausted rescue teams struggle through a second night, sometimes in vain. This girl is seriously injured. But it made no difference. They ran with the stretchers, trying to spare each moment of suffering. Some had been choked by petrol fumes from cars crushed in the basement car park. Hosing down the fires only heightened the suffering of those still trapped. The American army brought in listening equipment, but hopes of finding further survivors in the rubble where 40,000 Koreans shopped daily are now remote.
Coming up next on News at 10 tonight, from this to this in a fortnight. Nice for watching tennis, but is a drought on the way? On the court and flying the flag, Rusetsky thanks his fans again.
Everybody's just been so nice, sending letters and doing things for me, and I mean, it's just been really wonderful.
And in the leadership contest, the public speaks, but who's listening?
It's been one scandal after another. It's been jobs, it's been housing.
If you're motoring in France this summer, welcome. But be warned, our driving regulations are different. So, to avoid on-the-spot fines, come prepared and enjoy our country. Bon voyage.
Let's talk Anchor Extra Mature Cheddar. Firm, full-bodied, with a nutty twang. Savor the flavor of Anchor Mature.
We now know this was not a marriage made in heaven, and 2 years ago it ended in unhappiness. For the first time, the Mail on Sunday reveals Diana's new life with exclusive extracts from Andrew Morton's latest book. Free only with the Mail on Sunday.
It's the Allders sale of the summer with terrific savings, like this Slumberland double bed, half price in the Allders sale. A large range of coordinated bed linen, save up to half price. Or Pierre Cardin executive suits in a choice of patterns, save £100 in the Allders sale. And a superb wool-rich twist carpet, down to half price. The sale of the summer is now on at Allders of Croydon, Bromley, Sutton, Arding and Hobbs, and all great Allders stores.
The Citroen Xantia has one of the most advanced suspension and handling systems in the world. A system that compensates for every bump and bend the road can throw at you. So when they say there's no rock and roll, they mean it.
Nokia. Whatever your business, it can save you from a lot of trouble.
Hello?
Nokia. Connecting people.
What happens when you choose a baby brake mortgage from Bradford and Bingley?
We got a letter from the Building Society. You know, confirming the adjustment in the mortgage rate for the baby brake, like we asked. What's the matter?
Why do we never see baby pigeons? Once your money's sorted out, you'll need something else to worry about.
To be fully prepared for the different motoring laws in France and for all your other holiday needs, visit your local AA shop.
Welcome back. Parts of the country had their hottest day of the summer today, with the temperature nudging 90 at the end of a scorching week. It made a welcome change from the cold of early June, but there were, almost inevitably, grumbles about water supply problems. And many people got themselves badly burned by the sun. Here's our science editor, Lawrence McGinty.
Flaming June has finally arrived, and the kids at Christchurch School in Hastings have joined the Foreign Legion. In fact, their sun hats are part of school uniform, part of the Safe Sun campaign, to cover up and stay out of the sun at its hottest. But the sudden spell of hot weather means people are ignoring medical advice that the sun, however pleasant, can be dangerous, even fatal.
Sunburns aren't any different from any other burns, and basically the redness is a first-degree burn. Secondly to that, you can also have heat stroke.
In the last week, hospitals say as many as 1 in 4 patients and casualty came in with sunburn. This ward in Glasgow has treated over 100 people, including their own porter.
Didn't put any protection or nothing on, which was so, it was daft not to do that right enough. After seeing the amount of people coming in here with blisters.
Doctors also fear the link with skin cancer, which has doubled in 10 years. Measurements of the ultraviolet part of sunlight, which causes all the problems, show that levels have been as high as they've ever been before for the last 5 days over much of Scotland. And if the lazy, hazy days are here, can the water shortages be far behind?
A hosepipe and sprinkler can in fact use 50 times as much water as a normal house could use.
Water companies say demand is unprecedented. In the Highlands, it's as much as 15% higher. In southern England, 50%, with hosepipe bans in Sussex. In Yorkshire, demand up 60%, and in Wales, up 100%. 2 weeks ago, tennis fans at Queen's Club huddled against the cold. Today at Wimbledon, they sweltered. 2 weeks in weather terms is a long time.
3 IRA terrorists were given long jail sentences by a German court today for bombing a British Army base 6 years ago. The blast wrecked barracks at Osnabrück. Pauline and Donna O'Kane and Patrick Murray were released because of the time they'd already spent in jail. A 4th member of the gang, Don Maguire, was freed on Wednesday. An entire generation of filmgoers has today been mourning the death of Lana Turner, the glamorous American actress who died in Los Angeles. She was 75 and was being treated for throat cancer. From the 30s through the war and beyond, she made 50 films, including Peyton Place and The Postman Always Rings Twice. From the United States, our correspondent Bill Neely reports.
She was the first blonde bombshell of Hollywood. 50 films in a 50-year acting career.
Bye, Andrew, darling. See you tomorrow.
Lana Turner was America's World War II pin-up.
Why does everybody wear sport clothes?
But from her discovery, while playing truant aged 15, Turner's private life made more headlines than her acting. She was married 7 times and had many romances, one ending in a killing. Her gangster lover, Johnny Stompanato, was beating her one day when her daughter stabbed him to death. Turner testifying at the inquest.
I truthfully thought she had hit him in the stomach.
Turner had tasted tragedy before her father was murdered. In the movies, she starred with Mickey Rooney, John Wayne, Spencer Tracy, most of the greats. Her nickname throughout, the Sweater Girl.
Let's swim out there, way, way out.
But she never won an Oscar, nominated only once for Peyton Place.
Tonight, cancer has claimed the life of a great screen legend, the one and only...
Her death, even at 75, has shocked Hollywood.
Family members say they thought she was doing fine after...
She had undergone treatment for throat cancer.
No, I've been to the movies.
But in her later years, depression and alcohol had taken their toll. She became ill 3 years ago. She died with her daughter at her side. Among Lana Turner's films, Flame and the Flesh, Red Light and Latin Lovers. But her first was called They Won't Forget. They are not today in Hollywood. Bill Neely, News at 10 in the United States.
On News at 10 last night, we went behind the scenes with John Redwood and the team campaigning to get him into number 10 Downing Street in the Conservative leadership contest. We've been with the Prime Minister's men too this week, and David Rose has our special report.
Day one, and with Mr. Major abroad, his team badly needed directions.
Day for the Prime Minister to come back to this country.
Sir Patrick Mayhew managed to walk into the Liberal Democrats' headquarters before being rescued, rather than into Mr. Major's campaign headquarters, which are just across the street. They do have another office just around the corner, and large members of the team spent some time puffing between the two.
Aren't the phones working between the two buildings?
I try to keep slim. Much easier.
The Prime Minister's team then sallied forth to try to slap down Mr. Redwood's unexpected and extremely unwelcome intervention.
John Redwood's statement today contains nothing really new.
But there was no news from the Major camp either. We journalists were reduced to wondering if the headquarters street number indicated disaster was looming, and to interviewing workmen and neighbours.
It's looking very difficult for him. Very difficult indeed.
I think they're all mad at Hatton.
Day two, and to a collective sigh of relief from his team, Mr. Major was home to start a badly needed fight back.
Prime Minister, do you find your support is ebbing away? Is your support ebbing away?
He spent much of the day talking to Tory MPs, some of whom were showing definite signs of panic. Mr. Major's team is run by ex-whips and men like Sir Graham Bright, who know how to twist arms, gently of course.
The whole operation has got to be just to keep in touch and to know what people are thinking. And if we can do anything to obviously assist them in coming to the right conclusion, then we help.
The biggest problem for John Major's team as they try desperately to assess Mr. Redwood's support is quite simple. Some MPs tell lies, as first Ted Heath and then Margaret Thatcher discovered to their costs. A lot more MPs promised them their complete unchanging loyalty than ever delivered their votes. And in the secrecy of the ballot box on Tuesday, MPs who pledged their votes to the Prime Minister will be able to abstain or vote for Mr. Redwood, and no one will ever know.
While Mr. Redwood continued to monopolise the media, someone who looked very like John Major was getting an earful from a slightly short-sighted heckler.
It's been one scandal after another. It's been jobs, it's been housing.
After the news that Mr. Portillo's headquarters were being set up along the street, the Major team sent out for emergency supplies. Mr. Major's fight back is being masterminded by Ian Lang. He refuses to admit that the PM could be fatally wounded next Tuesday.
All right, would you accept this? If it went to a second ballot, the Prime Minister's lost it.
I don't accept that it'll go to a second ballot. We're expecting and working for a decisive victory on Tuesday.
Despite all the predictions that he's in trouble?
I don't hear those predictions that he's in trouble, other than from journalists and media men.
We sometimes get it right.
You're not going to get it right this time if you stick with that story.
Mrs. Major visited headquarters and the chairman paid a visit to Wonderland.
She is wonderful. John Major was wonderful today. And John Major will be wonderful when he unites the party and goes on and wins the next general election, just as he did the last.
Gosh, no wonder the campaign was going better. David Rose, News at 10, Westminster.
And that story is tonight's main headline. Mr. Major and Mr. Redwood have both told Conservative MPs that their seats will be safer if they vote for them. And finally, British hopes for the second week of Wimbledon will be carried by the Canadian-born Greg Rusedski, though he'll now meet the champion Pete Sampras. Rusedski beat the Frenchman Olivier Delachre today and is the only Briton left in the last 16 of the men's singles. Graham Miller reports.
The joy of being British went to Greg Rusedski's head today, and he served up what Wimbledon has been praying for. Until this week, British crowds used to call aces boring. Somehow Rusedski's 3 dozen winners has changed their minds. And the bookmakers rated an Elvis Presley sighting more likely than a British champion. Now everyone's having a rethink.
Game, Rusedski.
Olivier Delachre had taken the first set, but then Rusedski fired.
Game, second set, Rusedski.
He turned on a display that will get the headline writers naming him Greg the Great. The Frenchman could do nothing as Rusedski took over. And in the grueling heat, another ace.
Game, set, match, Rusedski.
His girlfriend Lucy beside herself, the Union Jack shown in triumph to acknowledge the crowd.
I thought it would take a little while for the public to warm to me, but they've taken me in very, very nicely, and I mean, they've just been wonderful. I mean, everybody's just been so nice, sending letters and doing things for me, and I mean, it's just been really wonderful.
Rusedski, who left Wimbledon late tonight, is now the sole British survivor. After Chris Wilkinson's defeat, the British number 4 went out to American Michael Joyce in a grueling 4-set marathon during the hottest part of the day. Pete Sampras is now waiting for Rusedski in the last 16. The defending champion beat fellow American Yared Palmer after dropping the first set. The heat put paid to poor Shirley-Ann Siddle from Bournemouth. She collapsed with heat exhaustion and was stretchered out of her mixed doubles match with Danny Sapsford. It reached a scorching 106 degrees on centre court today, the hottest temperature ever recorded, and 130 spectators had to be treated for heat problems. Tomorrow, barring any hiccups, Agassi, Becker and Graf should all move through. Then on Monday, the 2 Master Blasters, Sampras against Rusedski. They say by then the temperature should be cooler, but on centre court, the atmosphere will be red hot. Graham Miller, News at 10, Wimbledon.
That's news at 10 tonight, and for this week, see you Monday. From all of us here at ITN, good night, and have a great weekend.
Hello, good evening. The weather is going to be much cooler this weekend. It may seem very unfair if you've been sweltering through the working week, but no doubt it's good news for many people. The computer temperature charts have been bright red for the last few days, sweltering heat for most of us. Today we saw the first sign of cooler colours, cooler weather into the north of Britain, and during the next 24 hours you'll see the chart cools down generally across most places, and temperatures tomorrow are more likely to be in the high teens, low 20s than the 30s that we've had recently. Let's look at tonight, though. A lot of cloud coming in from the North Sea overnight tonight, especially for eastern counties of England. Just a chance of an odd shower further west. The cloud in the northwest that you've had today gradually breaking up. But that cloud in the southeast will give many people a grey start to the day tomorrow. Further west, in the north and west in particular, a lot of sunshine that you'll hang on for most of the day. And even in the southeast, that cloud will begin to break up to allow 1 or 2 sunny spells. There is a chance, with the winds coming off the North Sea, that some eastern counties of England could stay grey for most of the day, and that's certainly going to make a difference with the temperatures. On the western side, in the sunshine, it's quite pleasant, temperatures up to around 21, and that's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Even there, it's cooler than it has been. And on the east coast, if that cloud does linger, it's a lot colder than it has been recently, temperatures struggling up to mid or high teens. Sunday looks like a reasonable sort of day, sunshine for most of us, and temperatures quite average really for late June or the beginning of July as it is this weekend. The north and west of Scotland, though, seeing rather more cloud, especially later in the day with a few spots of drizzle. So there you are, a dry weekend for most of us, some sunshine, but nowhere near as hot as it has been. Good night.
Sponsored by PowerGen, producing electricity, whatever the weather.
GMTV gets swinging next week, live from Wimbledon, as Anthea Turner gets tennis tips from John McEnroe. Keep your kids cool with summer fashions for toddlers. And who could resist Liz Earle's bikini diet? It's essential viewing. GMTV next week.
Hello again. Well, the change in the weather will be more noticeable here in the southeast than anywhere else. A cool day tomorrow for many of us. Still dry through the weekend, though, with some sunny spells to enjoy. Tonight we'll see the first sign of that change, the northeasterly winds freshening and carrying the cloud in from the North Sea. An odd spot of drizzle perhaps, but most places dry and cooler than last night, which no doubt is good news for many people, down to around 14 in London, and that's 57. Now tomorrow, a very different day from today. Low cloud hanging on through the morning, so rather a grey start to the day for us all. I think some sunshine coming through during the afternoon. That's most likely from London westwards. The further east you are, it's likely to stay grey, but brighter on Sunday.
Sunday at 9, the fast-moving drama, The Knock.
Peter, don't try to tell me it was mere coincidence. Your own mother wouldn't believe that.
The Knock. The enigmatic team from Customs and Excise, out to catch the smugglers and the dealers.
Behold the chip chop note.
We don't muck around, you know, when one of our own's been caught out.
Compelling viewing, one of the most exciting drama series in years.
Trouble is, I've got phone. For what? Wounding within 10.
Sunday at 9, The Knock.
Some interesting tidbits, live and uncut, with Richard Littlejohn and guests, including Norman Lamont, Trevor McDonald and Willie Rushton, next on LWT.
If your business needs a supplier fast, look in Business Pages, London's classified business-to-business directory.
Marcus was expecting to see some fishes out the window. It's fast, it's smooth, it's great.
The shuttle makes it much easier with a family and a car.
We just drove on, same as everybody else. It's excellent.
It's much smoother inside than we'd expected.
The duty-free services are excellent.
Wir werden beide immer seekrank. Das ist ganz toll.
We left England, we were in France and hadn't realised we'd actually gone to another country.
It's great. I'd recommend it.
For your shuttle brochure, call 0990 700 800.
National Lottery Instance. Forget it all for an instance.
I'm spending the summer discovering the treasures of the Aztecs and the Incas.
You need graphics, a sunroof, and a stereo radio cassette.
And with the 106 Inca from just £6,495, you won't have to dig deep. Which is just as well, really.